Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's Live and Learn. Today is Monday, February 2nd, 2026. Beautiful day in Los Angeles. How's the weather where you're at, Pisco?
Oh my God, it's cold. It is burr cold. And we had like a big snowstorm the other day too. And we still have the lingering snow, but it is freezing. Yeah. But that's just part of the life on the East Coast.
And what did you two very handsome gentlemen get into this last week? Anything notable?
Ira, do you want to start? He's been making the rounds on like these subreddit posts. I've been seeing IRI everywhere. It's really encouraging to see that we have someone as based as IRI, making the rounds.
Well, they banned politics from live stream fail after I get 3 clips on there in 2 weeks. So I don't think you'll be seeing me.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. They've done this
Are
before.
You serious?
I believe they've done this before.
That's interesting decision. Like just as you are making a name for yourself on that subreddit. Oh, I talked to that guy. Wait, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I don't think I'm responsible. I think it's more that it turned into a PvP zone for Asmin, Destiny, and Hassan.
The troublemakers. And Hutch. I see Hutch sometimes being mentioned there.
Occasionally.
I'll see a Hutch post there too.
The one that popped off the most was I was watching a protest that Hassan was at, and I commented that the police there were showing a lot of restraint, which was true because this was technically 45 minutes after they told people to disperse. And then literally right after I said that, a fucking flashbang pops off in the background. And that one
that was really funny.
It was, yeah, that was a funny one.
Soy Pill, can you explain what's going on?
Hey, it's me, the Soy Pill. I'm having boomer technical difficulties, so I'm on my phone right now, and I'm sorry to my audience who thinks that I'm competent. Obviously, I'm not, and I will be making a ukulele video soon.
Is there a way for you to change the stream layout to horizontal or portrait instead of vertical? Because
That's a good question. I think by phone it has defaulted this for you guys because you invited me on as the young new member and then gave me permissions to host and start all live streams for some reason. So I blame you, and I take zero responsibility.
See, the thing is, it wasn't a gift, and it wasn't like it was a responsibility that Josiah gave you, and it wasn't a good thing. So
no, it wasn't. He didn't know my lack of technical prowess, despite my software engineering background. He really did not suspect. But
Wait, you're a software engineer?
Not anymore. I quit my job. I took a huge pay cut so I could do my true passion, which is YouTube shit posting. But
racist. Yes.
And calling people racist.
Is there a way on your end? Is there like a settings where you can change the? I mean, it's not the end of the world, honestly.
That's a good question. I mean, if there was you've buried the lead of mobile phones are dog shit, and so there's just no like controls or anything. I'm looking at this like I'm in a cockpit of a plane. There's a settings button.
There you go.
That's promising. That is very promising.
Did something change when I hit the? I didn't change anything. I just settings.
I felt differently when you did that.
Nothing.
Oh, your video turned off
for a moment.
My video turned. Well, so you just like it when you can't see me.
Well, that's not what I said.
Well, we can see you now.
Oh, well,
Speaking of live stream fails, real quick, I just wanted to touch on this real quick. I talked to the former Reddit mod of live stream fails, and he sort of explained what was happening with that whole controversy. I don't know if you heard about it, but I don't think that politics was the main issue of that subreddit. But again, that's me speaking from a perspective of someone who likes the political content, and I guess I'm sorry to see it go.
Wait, did you speak to that guy? That guy?
Stale 2000, yes.
Yeah.
And the multiple levels. What? Say it.
You know what, man? Like, I feel like the way that he said it, he came across as very unlikable. But the stuff that he was saying was not necessarily untrue, in my opinion.
I like the part where he said Reddit mods should be treated like celebrities and get free lawyers.
Well, that was a little strange, but I do think like maybe, especially for the ones that are like super involved, there could be some kind of like revenue sharing kind of a thing there. Cause
the mods,
I mean, like moderators to me, when I think of Reddit, they're such a big part of that platform, probably more so than any other platform. Do you disagree?
The last thing I want is my Discord mods to unionize. That's what I will be very, very harsh on any attempts to unionize or collectivize or get any benefits in my particular Discord. That's all I know. I will not be.
You'll just be like
full jank, huh? Oh, you don't like jank either. That's
No.
right.
He said. Remember, there was a whole thing. There were people at the Young Turks that
Oh!
wanted to unionize.
And he was like, no.
I don't know what happened, but he was very much opposed to it.
Yikes. It's always them, right? It's always the limousine socialists with the mansions over in Hollywood with their little, they talk a big game about money and politics. They talk a big game about unionization and labor. But then when it comes to their own things, they're not even donating their extra money that they get to the government. And how can they be consistent in that world?
Boys, I want to talk about a couple things to kick off this episode. Okay. The first thing I want to talk about is the Senate primary in Texas. I don't know if you guys saw, but there was some fucking drama and shenanigans that happened today. IRI, are you plugged into what happened there?
So somebody posted something in my Discord about Colin Allred saying Tallarico's racist. Is that what it is?
So basically what happened was there's this TikTok influencer. I don't want to diminish them in any way. I think they might have been a former staffer of Tallarico at some point, but they do TikTok content. They were invited to a town hall that Tallarico was going to be at. This particular influencer is a black woman, and she took issue with James Carville, who was supposedly helping Tallarico's campaign. Carville was saying they need to get rid of the woke shit. She interpreted that as kind of being vaguely anti-black in a way. And so she requested to talk to Tallarico's campaign, and they set up a meet with Tallarico himself at the town hall. And she said in private, Tallarico referred to Colin Allred as a mediocre black man. And Jasmine Crockett as I can't remember what the exact word was, like very talented black woman or something like that. Tallarico responded, actually, no, before I get to that, Allred responded by saying, like, get the fuck out of my face, fuck you, I support Jasmine Crockett. And I think he had previously endorsed Tallarico, or am I making that up?
And Tallarico said, I didn't say mediocre black man, I said mediocre person of color. What was his response?
He said, I wasn't referring to his blackness, or I wasn't referring to him as being mediocre. He says he was saying that Allred ran a mediocre campaign.
Like a mediocre black campaign or mediocre, like what? I want to know about the black campaign part. So who said black?
I don't, he never, so that part never got clarified, but he said that in the context of his discussion with the staffer, he was saying that Allred's campaign was mediocre. Now, the discussion that he was having with this TikTok influencer was one tangentially related or directly related to race, because her whole thing was she felt, again, Carville was trying to do some like anti-black stuff with the pushing back against kind of woke language, or what he called woke language. And so blackness or race was a part of that discussion. And so it was either this big misunderstanding or Tallarico, who is, I mean, I don't know, like I'm a little bit biased because I like Tallarico, but
because of the Nazi tattoo.
Because of the Nazi tattoo specifically. Right, but also, I just really like his campaign. I think he's compatible with Texas. But when I look at Tallarico and his rhetoric and just how he carries himself, this is like very difficult to believe, like if there were other warning signs in his rhetoric or in the way he carried himself previously, then, I would, go ahead.
It's not like that Epstein email where he's like, yeah, you shouldn't bring your black significant others to the party because Trump doesn't really like them. He calls them boogers. Did you see that email?
What? Wait, what?
Yeah. Some of these emails, like, they're just kind of like acknowledging the open secret that Trump is super, super racist.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Okay.
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Oh my God. The boomer figured it out.
I think you're good.
From a 2007 YouTube studio. You guys like this?
You look awesome, man. Where is this?
Yo, what's up, YouTube? Today I'm going to be reacting to normal things. Okay, that's not it. Oh, so you can't change the orientation while watching.
Leave it like that. That's perfect. Okay, right there. That's good. No.
Oh, because you're big.
Back to the other one.
You just like this.
Maybe we should restart it.
No, you can't restart it. I'll just go back to what it was. No,
guys. Yeah, I know the Nazi tattoo. It's a joke. God, you can't even make a joke these days.
Yeah, it says I'm not allowed to change to desktop while live. I think it's really cool how like mobile phones just made everything shittier for the past 20 years. Isn't that cool, guys?
This really pisses me off because now we're not going to have a complete set. Like, you guys know those N64 cartridges? They don't have end labels on them, but like the other ones do. And so you can't have your collection showing. with the end labels on them. This will be like that. Like all of our other episodes.
There's going to be the one live stream
Yes.
that's just kind of off.
Yes, it's also like when they number all of them, and then like one of them is like not numbered, or they do like a 3 instead of a Roman numeral, even though they started with Roman numerals.
The worst is when they have the
pisses me off.
manga. This is a weeb thing. You might not understand, Pisco, but they like try to make like the arts match. So you get one big image of like Goku punching, but then a different company bought it like halfway through, and they're like, we're not doing that. And like his arm is just cut off by this big stupid label.
I'm a big continuity person. Big, like I really don't want you forgetting about the previous lore you established. It's not going to work for me. Even if it's stupid lore, you have to keep it. Midichlorians, they have to mention them. It's part of the world. It's part of the world now.
Did you know the original plan for 7 was George Lucas was going to have the Jedi like go inside like almost like the Fantastic Journey and like talk to the midichlorians, like the Wills, I think they're called. Can you believe we would have got that if Disney hadn't given us?
Wow, so amazing. Cool.
I want more prequel schlock. All right, should we talk about politics now?
All right, so
we're all here?
Yeah.
Back to what Hutch was saying.
Yeah.
So,
IRS, what the fuck are you talking about?
So some TikTok creator seems to misinterpret it, or there seems to be a generation gap there that's causing a disconnect between her and Tallarico's campaign, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think in the end, based on everything you've read? Did he say that shit about Colin Allred?
I mean, like I saw the allegation when it came out, and it was just like, this is so difficult to believe, because that kind of language is typically like when we talk about like mediocre white men, that was like the language of kind of like the peak wokes back in the 2019, 2020 era. That does not sound like something, like a 35-year-old like Baptist minister / politician / teacher would say. And so I was skeptical of it, but like you never know, I guess. I'm not going to get super attached to
white Baptist ministers would never be racist.
Well,
I don't know if he's Baptist. He might be Presbyterian. But
do you guys understand like where that phrase kind of comes from, and like who's saying it and why? Like in the peak woke era,
which phrase?
It was about like,
mediocre white man.
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't.
The idea is like people of color who were discriminated against see people who otherwise shouldn't have jobs that are accelerated into greatness, kind of failing upwards only because they're not detrimented by the system, right? Like that was kind of where it comes from.
But it kind of began to be used much more broadly, like around that time.
Oh, sure,
like
it would just be thrown at like every white guy, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. And so, the idea that he would have said something like that is like, to me, I was a little incredulous at, but I think it makes more sense, because that's where my mind went to, is like, was there some kind of miscommunication? Was she saying that, like, I even thought like, was Tallarico saying that Allred himself was mediocre in terms of, or his campaign was mediocre? Because they were. I mean, I think he's run a couple different times in Texas and didn't really do well in either race. And so that just makes like so much more sense, but yeah.
Well, I as somebody who's on TikTok a lot, if it is a TikTok creator, they are way sensitive on TikTok, where, this is where the whole microaggressions drama came out of with Dean and the Unfuck America tour. So I could see some content creator on there going way too far with just like a slight comment that they took out of context or something.
Yeah. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but if someone if I called someone aggressive and that person happened to be black, and then they said, you're doing a microaggression, I think we're allowed to say, shut the fuck up now. Just like, we have so many bigger problems to deal with. And if you get on my case about doing microaggressions, or like, especially when it has nothing to do with your race, I think it's time to tell those people to go back to 2016. We're fighting fascism. I don't care about your little tiny, pedantry of what you can and can't say here and there. It's so gone right now. We need to.
Wasn't there like a Dean Withers controversy about that?
Exactly. Like imagine Dean Withers and like these people that are already pretty careful about what they say, and it's like, oh, you said the wrong word here. This is speaking, by the way, of someone who just got banned on Twitter for a week because I told Drew Pavlov to do things that make him not exist anymore.
You guys are so mean to Drew
because he's stupid and he's a grifter.
Yeah, he was. Listen, I just know that if we're gonna start doing these microaggression things, we shouldn't start with Drew.
I'm not saying Drew, start doing it.
Drew is a white man. Okay, that's what he told me. He's a very, very white man. He's an Anglo man. But I kind of agree with you that I was never bought into the identity politics shit. I thought it was cringe that we said that white people couldn't wear sombreros. I remember like having a big argument with some of the people. I was part of certain affinity groups on my college campus, and I actually I stirred the pot a little bit because I thought that was so stupid at the time. But I also think that people, like both sides of the whole, they get so bent out of shape about it one way, but they also like the counter reaction to it is also, I think, very cringe. But in general, if someone starts to like use that trope against me, I think that you're fine telling them to shut the fuck up.
Well, I think it's died down quite a bit from the peak. It seems like a lot of people got really frustrated with how kind of, I don't know, policey those people were about language. And so, you know, we're in a new kind of situation now with where the culture's at. But, you know, I do wonder if this is going to have an impact on that race. Texas, I think, has a shitload of black voters, don't they? Don't they have more black voters than any other state? So, you know, the primary's coming up, I think, in 3 or 4 weeks. Like, it's really rapidly approaching. And so, you know, Polymarket had Tallarico like at 75% odds if you take stock in anything Polymarket does. But, you know, this could be kind of like dirty politics with the Crockett campaign just throwing something out there in the last month, but we'll see.
Do you think it'll work, really? I mean, I don't know if this evokes this memory for any of you guys, but do you remember in the 2020 primary when it was Elizabeth Warren tried to say that Bernie Sanders was a misogynist because he said a woman couldn't be president? And I think the progressives just like kind of unilaterally just rejected this because, one, if you look at his body of work, this is just clearly not who he is. But two, like Bernie Sanders being like, you know, anti-women just doesn't make sense. And really what he said was, I don't think the American people are ready to elect a woman. But it was like kind of that last ditch, like, how do I differentiate myself from this person effort, like right before the progressive vote kind of would have coalesced. And I just thought that was such a lame thing to do. But what do you guys think?
I mean, yeah, like Kamala came out recently and said that the country wasn't ready to, you know, elect a gay vice president. So it's a similar kind of thing there. Like, that's what that was all about. But yeah, I mean, do you guys think this has an impact on the race?
Now?
I mean, no. Pete, thinking about Pete. She wanted to pick Pete, but said that the country wasn't ready to elect a gay vice president. I think she's correct about that. Yeah,
I'm seeing on Politico now. A mediocre comment has put Tallarico's Texas Senate campaign in the hot seat. It says here, the influencer Morgan Thompson, who posts under the username Morga_TT on TikTok, posted the accusation, a video on Sunday in which she claimed that Tallarico told her in a private conversation after a January 12th town hall in Plano, Texas, that he had, quote, signed up to run against a mediocre black man, not a formidable, intelligent black woman. That's what she claims.
I don't know. He does
that
not.
Sounds a lot worse than a microaggression.
Wait a second. Yeah, Tallarico has responded. He put out a statement. He said, quote, in my praise of Congresswoman Crockett, I described Congressman Allred's method of campaigning as mediocre, but his life and service are not. I would never attack him on the basis of race.
Now let's do both sides. Let's do both sides. If Jasmine Crockett had said mediocre white man, referring to Tallarico, would this even be a story?
I think she has said mediocre white man in subcommittee hearings. I'm almost positive that she's actually said those words.
So the reason I brought up the origin of the phrase, Pisco, was I was like, all right, I don't like this phrase. I think it's stupid, but I get where it's coming from of seeing people who probably shouldn't be in positions of power and kind of like get nepotism. But if you say it like towards a black man, like institutionally, like it doesn't really make sense. Like even though the other one's also dumb, it's like it even makes less sense to say, oh, he's a mediocre black man. It's like, well, like is the implication there being like he's a nepo baby also, but I'm also, because I'm a progressive, Tallarico is acknowledging that black people are held back historically. So it's like, oh, you're even worse. It almost sounds like he's making a racial comment there, I think.
Yeah, I think it depends on how you hit it too. I watched the latest shoe on head video yesterday while I was doing the test of the green screen, and there's a way you can hit Jew and it just like, wow. And if you had just said it a different kind of way, I would be like, But she just
the Alex Jones way, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Jew.
She hit that hard J. And so how it was said probably would matter more to me than like the term itself, even though obviously it's more sussy to say mediocre black man than mediocre white man.
Right.
We have to be principled about that. What's the principle? And if it's just power plus privilege analysis again. Ooh, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to cut it.
Well, I just wanted everybody to be aware of that. That's obviously a really high profile race. There's a lot on the line in the midterms. I think Democrats really do have a shot at flipping the Senate. It's an outside shot. They'd have to run the table, but it is not impossible. And especially given the results that we saw in Texas over the weekend. Was that on Friday or Saturday? There was a special election for a state Senate seat where the Democratic challenger won that race by what was it, 13 or 14 points.
12 or 13.
And this was a Trump
14?
plus 17. Is it a district? Is that what this is? District in 2024. So that was a 32-point overperformance relative to the 2024 margins. To put it into perspective, if the whole country saw a 32-point shift, then the Democrats would end up with a 59-seat Senate majority come the midterms. So
I saw that, and did that upset you, Hutch? That it's like if we won by that much, we still wouldn't have a filibuster-proof majority.
I mean, it didn't.
Crazy.
I just know. I mean, it was such a. That's obvious. That map is obviously not going to happen. So I just kind of ignored that map.
A man can dream, though.
Yeah,
that was the Econo Boy map for the presidential election. Did you remember?
Yeah.
He predicted. I'm just joking. Econo Boy. I'm just joking. But I do think that even though elections that are special are quirky, and you can't necessarily read into the margin thing, even Ron DeSantis, if you listen to Harry Enton, they looked at Ron DeSantis' reaction, and he's like, you can't ignore this. You can't ignore this. It's even though it's quirky, this is so much of a shift, you can't ignore it.
And there was a Texas politician off the record speaking to a journalist who commented on it and said basically Texas fucked themselves in terms of the Republican Party with the redistricting because they ended up watering down districts that they thought were safe. And now the electorate fucking hates Republicans because they killed 2 people in Minneapolis and Trump is, corrupt to an unprecedented level. So they are in deep shit. And, I really don't want to throw winnable races here. And I don't think Crockett can win personally.
Wow.
You don't think she can win?
Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, I think she can. I feel like you have to kind of like squint your eyes a little bit. But if the electorate is this pissed at Republicans, then sure, she could win. But
don't you think that as a angry woman, she channels that anger that we all feel?
I do identify internally as a black woman, so I do feel seen by her generally. But
I was trying to bait you into a microaggression. Sorry.
Okay.
With me.
I do have a question for Hutch, though. This is one of them hypotheticals. All right.
Okay. Wait, hold on. This isn't going to kick off a 30-minute debate.
No, it's
right?
not.
Okay, all right,
I'm not going to do anything. Just easy hypothetical. That
I'm putting 3 minutes on the clock. Go ahead, please.
All right. All right. Let's say he really hit it like, how the Key and Peele sketch is like with the black ice. Let's say that he really hit it like that. You still voting for Tallarico if you're in Texas?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
What? Really? Wait,
wow.
Hey, how should we vote for the pro-segregationist Dem if we got...
Wait, hold on. I guess I don't understand. What do you mean, black ice? What are you talking about?
There's a sketch from Key and Peele.
He said black like a slur, Hush. Like he was like, I thought I was going against a black candidate. Like, would you still vote for him?
If there's a D next to their name, yeah, of course I would.
No. In the
but
primary.
It's the primary. You can still vote for...
No. I would not support someone like that in the primary.
Wow.
Oh, okay. All right. That's principle.
All right. That's base principle.
You didn't actually give the other side, Pisco, right? Like the other side being like, imagine Kamala Harris saying like Pete Buttigieg was her primary opponent. And then all of a sudden Pete Buttigieg steps down and you get this fucking powerhouse Obama-like figure. And she says, oh, I thought I was running against some small town mayor gay candidate, and now I'm running against this powerhouse fucking Senate orator, right? Like, I think that's how he meant it, probably.
I'm going to say something controversial, all right? And I'm going to put up my liberal surrender hands. I'm surrendering, all right? These kinds of things, I'm willing to overlook 3 of these. You get 3. And I'm going to worry about more of the policies, who I think is going to win. You get 3. Graham Plattner has used up like 2 of them, probably. Maybe he's pushing it.
3 strikes laws is not liberal of you, Pisco. That's actually very Republican. IRA, you're going to weigh in?
I was just going to say, I don't think this impacts the race. I mean, yeah, I agree with Pisco. If he does another thing or two that shows that he is racist, then sure. Even if he said this, I don't think he meant it in like a bad way, you know. I don't know. Some people say things and you know they think they're among friends and they think it'll be taken as kind of lighthearted or something, and he gets taken the wrong way. I don't know, but I don't think James Tallarico is racist, and I don't think race is playing a big role in that primary, anyways. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
We'll see. Well, boys, there's a lot to talk about. I mean, do we get into the Epstein files right now, or do we save it for later? I mean, there's like 4 other things.
There's so many Epsteins. It's fine. We can cover it quick. There's not that much in there. We keep redacting it.
Well, you guys take the lead on this one because I find the Epstein stuff kind of. I just feel like there's a lot of stupid people saying a lot of stupid things about Epstein. So I'm just going to leave it to the smart people to look into it and just like pick the most important.
I don't want to say something stupid about Epstein, so I'll let you say something stupid about Epstein.
I think you're playing into this meme where like people shouldn't respect you as a smart person. They should respect you as a commentator who knows about the discourse and is not stupid. Like I don't
no. I mean, I'll leave it to the smart. I'll leave it to like smart people to do the work of looking into the emails and then pick the most important stuff. Is what I said.
Yeah, but you're a smart person.
Well, okay, other smart people.
Okay, there you
go. Condemn Jeffrey Epstein, yes or no, Hutch?
I do. Yeah, but if he had a D next to his name and he was running for a Texas
oh my God,
I would probably vote for him. I'm just saying.
That'd be a tough one.
Wild.
Not kidding.
You're just gonna let that one
not a joke. Not a joke.
Wow.
All right.
I will say.
Go for Ira.
I think the funniest thing. I shouldn't say funniest thing, but the wildest thing to come out of this is Elon Musk trying to lie his way out of begging to come to parties on Epstein Island.
Jeez. Yeah. And his daughter. Did you see his daughter came out and confirmed that she was on? Did he take her to the fucking island? Did he literally take his daughter to Epstein Island? Is that what
No. I think what she's confirming is that he was in the area as per the emails. And I don't think she needs to really confirm it anymore because he came out and said, yes, all these emails are valid by saying, well, clearly, if you read them, like I didn't go to the island, which actually does seem to be the case, which kind of makes him like more of a loser. Like even the pedophiles don't want to hang out with you. Like, and I don't know if he was just being so inept that he didn't understand what they were saying. But you know, for supposedly the smartest man on the planet, I think he could kind of get what was going on, especially after this man has a conviction in 2005, 2009. Like this had already happened. Yeah, 8 or 9, right? So like after that, to be begging to come to the wildest parties and to have like 3 foreign people who have to show their passports visiting at your facility, like. Yeah, you don't really get to play stupid and say, I had no idea what was going on, and I never wanted to go to the island. This is so bad for him, and yeah, I can't believe he tried to ignore it all day, and then he was like, oh, actually, it's not a big deal.
I think it's funny that IRI starts there because I do think that even though it's kind of like a joke or whatever, because it's a specific contradiction, I think that it's correct that there are bombshells that are coming out of these releases. There are. Don't let people tell you that they're not. A lot of it relates to metadata, the when, where, and like who to who, like who's sending messages to Epstein when, and who's contradicting statements they said before. Is there a basis to think that Lutnick lied about that? Elon, Trump himself with some of the emails that are coming out. So that's one of the big bombshells is we now have confirmation of, at a bare minimum, some lies from very prominent people. Number 2, we have now, I think, significantly more smoke for some particular theories, but I will stress, not yet, in my opinion, smoking gun for some of the most, like, I would say, embedded theories in some of these different subgroups. That is to say, there are a lot of communications between former Israeli prime ministers and Epstein, and some that bear on, for example, Palantir and Peter Thiel and Andreessen Horowitz. So there's a lot. You can tell that there's communications and knowing connections in these ways. However, if you just let the connections themselves and the metadata run wild on your imagination, it could lead you anywhere. So I want to caution people that bare allegations, for example, of Trump, you can't establish that they're true yet, right? And also that the mere connections don't show the overall systemic nature of the alleged conspiracies. And so what we should be demanding is more transparency, Inspector General report, or a special counsel report that explain, wait, did you follow up on these connections? What did you do? Did you actually go and try to interview Peter Thiel? Did you try to go interview Ehud Barak? Did you try to talk to these people? And then we can see, all right, are they still hiding stuff from us? And are all the smoking guns part of the redactions that have been, as of yet, not sort of publicly disclosed?
Yeah, Pisco, on that, I mean, IRI, you said the funniest. I think the funniest thing to come out of this, and it is the worst part of what you're describing, Pisco, was people seeing that Mamdani's mom was like in a correspondence. And just because you corresponded with Epstein does not mean you're on the Epstein list, right? Like, this person was a wealthy, connected person talking to thousands of people. And so the new conspiracy, just like the Justin Trudeau is Fidel Castro's son, is Mamdani is Epstein's son. You can draw that conclusion if you're stupid and you just like grazed over the emails.
Yeah, so, there's a lot of that.
You got to be careful with this.
There's a lot of that going around. I appreciate, Pisco, you framing it the way that you're doing, because most of the people, I feel like the creators that are covering this, I feel like are just fucking. To me, it's just so scummy, because there are like very real victims involved here, and it's broadly like not funny, but people are taking any kind of reference to someone's name or any kind of allegation whatsoever and taking that to
proof
mean
of culpability of the worst.
Yeah, they're part of this like cabal of like pedophiles.
And it's really, really important to stress that like there's plenty of corruption now that's been shown in terms of the cover up, in terms of how they approach it, proven lies. I think that like Bondi should be impeached, or there should be impeachment hearings over this. I think there's plenty here for us to allege, and plenty of smoke for us to be like rightfully demand more answers. Here's the problem though. I'll give you an example. This guy, DC Drano, you guys know this account is fucking stupid. He's one of the assholes that like lifts up these Epstein binders. He retweets and promotes this notion that, wow, we now have confirmation that Epstein was close to Robert De Niro and Jane Fonda. Right? And you read the actual email. He's produced it, and it's not at all from Epstein. Like, the from is from this publicist who says, like, I met with De Niro and Jane Fonda is my new best friend. There's not even an allegation within that email that Epstein he's like one separation away from even ever having talked to those people. Like, maybe it's the case that Jane Fonda and De Niro went to the island at some point, but this doesn't show it. And so you have to be careful. Definitely don't like be a cover for Epstein or for any of these cronies or for Trump, etc. But don't be used by bad faith actors who, using the smoke that is there, will try to lead you in a given direction and give you a narrative to take advantage of you, your money, and do a grift like Candace Owens does, like all these people do. So just be very careful from both sides of it. There's people who want to cover up and use you from the government perspective, from the Epsteinite perspective. There are definitely people from the conspiracy perspective on many different political angles that want to use you and prey upon your fears and uncertainty to lead you to draw different conclusions and to grift. And that's what you have to always be skeptical, both of the people in power, but the people making claims of those in power as well.
Yeah, it's the same with the P. Diddy stuff, where like, P. Diddy threw a lot of parties, and I'm pretty sure most of those parties were not the freaky, sex cult stuff. So anytime it's like, oh, you went to a P. Diddy party, like, you're a horrible, terrible person. It's like, well, that might have been his like Christmas party where he just had all the celebrities over and they hung out and had drinks, and not the freak offs where he had all the people, baby oiled up. So as much as it is fun to run away with the conspiracies, like, we're still trying to make the connections. That said, again, if Donald Trump is innocent, he's doing a lot of weird stuff.
Yes. No. I'm fine saying that. I think that there's something that's being covered up. The one thing I'm trying to say is, for any of the particular pet theories, I'm not at a preponderance of evidence yet. And frankly, not even close for some of the allegations. And that includes that Trump specifically abused children. I'm not there yet.
Would you let your 12-year-old daughter hang out with Trump? Yes or no?
No, I would not.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter if we can find a criminal conviction. What matters is this looks really, really bad.
But that decision is overdetermined. Soybill. But no, I see what you mean. Yeah.
I mean, this is a hell of a 1-2 punch with like the 2 shootings in Minnesota, the subsequent like protest movement that sprang up, the grassroots movement that sprang up in Minneapolis, just the plunging popularity for ICE. And now, Trump, I think, was in 35,000 of the emails was the last count that I saw of the most recent batch. And so I just feel like right now it's just like devastating for this administration. So it's no wonder, and this is a good segue, it's no wonder that Trump is going on fucking, what's his name? fucking the podcast guy, deputy FBI director. He went back to podcasting.
He went on fucking Bongino's podcast.
He went on Bongino and said the Republicans should just, quote, take over the elections in like 15 states or something like that. And then on top of that, we had this FBI raid at Fulton County, where they seized how many voting machines? Still trying to relitigate 2020. Yep. And DNI, the director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, there's reporting that came out of Wall Street Journal today that she was we knew she was at the raid, but she was not only at the raid, but she put President Trump on speakerphone to the FBI agents, who then, Trump then told them, "You're doing a great job."
Yeah. What did he say?
This is fucking bananas that a president is like calling into an FBI raid and asking for, minute to minute updates. And, I don't know how much, there's a lot of dooming going on about like rigging the midterms and stuff. I don't know where you guys are at with it. IRI, how do you feel about all that? Are you concerned that he's going to fucking steal the midterms?
Well, my line is they're going to try. Absolutely. I think they're going to try, but I think they're going to fail. These people are incompetent, and it's going to be too big to rig, and we'll be fine, but they sure as hell are going to try. What I think they're doing, to me, the most alarming thing was Tulsi Gabbard there for sure. And because she deals with intelligence, which is nothing domestic at all. So the craziest thing I read is that they're going to pardon Maduro and get him to say Venezuela rigged the 2020 elections, and they'll insert some ballots.
Plausible, though. That's so fucking plausible, though. I fully, Anyways,
it's just so stupid. It just might work.
I just don't think.
Go ahead.
I just don't think it's going to change the outcome of the elections. People are going to vote based on affordability and their finances. They don't give a shit about past elections.
Well, IRI, the idea is that we're past the power of voting at that point, and you might see suppression of the vote that is so strong that they win the election. Like if they literally nationalize elections in states and have control over where people are voting, like it's taking all of the Republican voter pressure suppression tactics and hypercharging them in the last minute before the midterms. I think that's more of the issue, not whether or not the Venezuelan narrative becomes the reason people vote more Trump. I think you're right, that wouldn't change anything because they already believe it. Most of them do, at least, right? So it's more of how can we suppress the vote? What if we put ICE at polling stations and scare people away who are valid to vote, not illegal immigrants who can't vote, but people with families that they might be worried about? What if we close down polling stations? What if we, do just intimidate voters, period? What if we shut down mail-in voting? Those are all things that I think are on the table of things they're going to try, like you said. And that does concern me.
Yeah. Pisco, speak to
I have a white pill. I'm white pilled on this. Okay.
I was waiting for you to, for you to jump in here.
So first off, I think IRI is correct that they're going to try shenanigans. I think everyone should accept that. And none of what I'm about to say means that they're not going to try. I don't know if they'll do the specific Insurrection Act style thing that people are warning about, but I think that he's going to invoke the Insurrection Act for some things, and I think that they're going to try to do some shenanigans. Here's why I'm white-pilled for a full set of reasons. I'll give you 3 of them. First is a little term I like to call, I coined it, too big to rig, right? Too big to rig. It actually is difficult logistically to steal an election in the United States of America. We don't have a unified system of voting. The initial regulatory power is in the hands of the states, and they farm that out to local counties and stuff. And it actually is a bit of a logistical nightmare to do it. And so IRI's point about them being too incompetent is well taken, because not only are they incompetent and they have leaks all over the place and they do things that are stupid, they also have a very tough task ahead of them to try to rig. And the different kind of funnel points, the points at which there are certain places where you could try to target, those are easily monitorable. You can monitor them more easily, and we can know when shit's happening. And if, as Democrats are doing, going out with their votes in these special elections and showing up for a lot of these protests, if we all keep an eye and keep recording and keep looking, too big to rig. Number 2, I actually think, and I've said this before,
Can I jump in before you get on the second point? Because I have a question. I mean, we look at times where elections have been close, right? Like, yeah, obviously, if you swamp the vote so much that like all suppression is drowned out by the overwhelming Democrat voices, sure. But I mean, like, imagine the Brooks Brothers riot back in 2000. That was enough to say, okay, well, now we've got the Supreme Court and Jeb Bush giving me the election just in this one district because it was close enough, right? Like, it doesn't take every single election in every single state to be stolen. It's, hey, if we suppress it enough in key areas, like, it won't matter that you have the advantage. We're eliminating what advantage would have made you win, right? That's still possible, right?
Yeah, no. When I say too big to rig, I don't really mean like just vote so much that doesn't count the fraud. I'm not talking about that. I'm being funny. I'm just saying, like, the system is so spread out and diffuse that the system is bigger than any one stopgap. And we can monitor where interference happens much, much easier. And that's one of the reasons why we're fairly confident this Georgia shit. I think it's I don't have any reason to believe that they'll be able to find sweeping criminality with respect to the 2020 election, is because it's actually hard to hide this kind of stuff. That's what I mean. And then when we do find out that there's fucked up shit going on, I think we're activated enough as a base to go out and meet it on the streets. Sorry, you want to interject?
Well, you know, IRI, you mentioned incompetence. I think it's a mixture of incompetence and corruption, because what's happening right now within this administration is Donald Trump is, you know, handing down these edicts to his cabinet members to specifically like go after specific people or go after like this specific location in Fulton County. And he basically, I think, thinks that he should just be able to manufacture criminal charges or, you know, legit claims of actual voter fraud. And he has surrounded himself with people that are just utter sycophants. All they care about is advancing their own career. And so they're trying to placate him but with these like various charges and other tasks that they're doing. But they're running into the girthy protections of the United States like Constitution. And so it's like, it's actually not that easy to just criminally indict someone. So they've fallen on their face so many times now. It's kind of ridiculous. They fell on their face and humiliated themselves with the Comey stuff. Letitia James, like, wasn't it 2 judges that threw out the possibility of her going to trial? He actually doesn't have the authority whatsoever to just say no mail-in ballots, or, you know, we're going to take over this state's voting.
Yeah, legally he's cooked.
He's cooked. Yeah, the Constitution's pretty clear about like the states have the right to conduct their election systems as they please. And on top of that, he has such he has completely dried up all of his political capital. So if he were to, for example, say to some red state or county or whatever, like the feds are going to take over this thing, you know, maybe if he was like 60%, 65% approval rating, you know, people were kind of getting behind his agenda, like maybe they would do something like that. But even then I have doubts. This guy is down in the 30s already. He's still continuing to tumble. I think we might see his approval rating go down to like 33, 34. And so these Republican state level and local politicians, even the Republicans, they're just going to say, no, like, you can't. We're going to do our own elections. Yeah.
And there will be Republicans who win on election day, both state level and federal. And it's the same exact ballots that produce results for either. And so any effort by Trump is going to be monitored not just by Democrats, but by Republicans, who some of whom absolutely would be committed to helping Trump. But remember, Trump's not on the ballot himself. And so they're going to have to be, he's going to be doing the kind of fraud or whatever he's doing, interference, to put this stuff on the scale for Republicans, many of whom owe their legitimacy to these very ballots. And calling them into question is going to introduce a lot of legitimacy concerns for the very Republicans who in many cases are monitoring. That's one of the reasons, for example, that people in Georgia, for example, Raffensperger and Kemp, right, as the governor, that their victories, in spite of what happened in 2020, et cetera, was a vindication for them. And they didn't want to downplay it by saying that there was massive fraud there. And so that's another institutional structural benefit for Democrats, in addition to logistical concerns. And he's cooked legally. The concern isn't legal, because everyone kind of grants legally he's cooked. It's, will he do something in spite of the law? And that's what I'm trying to address.
I think, Guy, you mentioned potentially sending ICE agents to polling stations. And I've heard this thrown around a lot. Like, guys, take a look at the fucking country right now. If you're not white-pilled, I feel like you're not really paying attention. Look at Minnesota, to me, that's like real bravery. When I look at the Iranian protesters who were being murdered by the thousands, I was like, okay, that's like real bravery. Like, we don't really understand that kind of protest here in the United States. They killed 2 people in Minnesota, and look what happened. Hundreds of thousands of people took to the streets, or it could have been tens of thousands. I might be inflating that a little bit. Tens of thousands of people took to the streets in sub-zero temperatures. What the fuck do you think is going to happen if Donald Trump signals in advance? We're going to station ICE agents at, like polling stations in fucking Philadelphia, Detroit, and Atlanta. That is going to make such a
Democrats votes are more concentrated that way, and
they are going to show. Bro, he's going to piss off those electorates, and they're going to see a fucking 20 to 30% increase in voters. They're not like the American people are not taking this lying down. So I'm just not concerned about that at all. Like the whole ICE thing at all.
This is an outdated barometer, but I don't know if you remember in like peak woke 2020 times, like during BLM and COVID, where celebrities were coming out and being like, I take responsibility for like, being white, and we got to sing Imagine to make everyone happy, and everyone hated it. But we're back to that now. At the Grammys, they're all like, fuck ICE, no one's illegal on stolen land. Like, I think that's like what Hutch is saying. It's like
they got to stop saying that though. They got to stop saying that though.
Hey, look, I don't care if the slogans, I care about the sentiment behind it. I don't care if the slogan's dumb right now, if it's working and getting the normies to hate ICE,
no, whatever. But normies, they hear that, and it's like when you say there's no, what is it? No, there's
no one is illegal on stolen land.
You're doing
I think it's a silly.
You're doing 2 things. You're number one, you're saying that America itself is illegitimate, and number 2, you're basically saying that America cannot enforce its borders, which is fucking stupid.
Don't purity test us right now. This is the IRA coalition we need.
It's dumb. I'm just saying that particular phrase, we need to put it out to pasture. It's a stupid phrase.
Okay, I agree. I agree.
Well, I'll say that it looks like we're maybe on the precipice of ICE being neutered as well, because Chuck Schumer's asking for some big shit. Like ICE take their masks off, body cams on, got
Israel aid,
and so
good segue there. Good segue there.
Did you
well, but I'm just saying.
Yes. He said one of the best and most important jobs as leader is to fund Israel. Thoughts?
But I thought this was part of the ICE package. Like some portion of ICE's funding has to go to Israel.
Let's not talk about Israel. Okay, go ahead.
I'm just saying that I think Trump was going to use ICE as his thugs during the midterms, and they may be neutered in the next couple of weeks, because if they have to walk around without masks on and IDs and their body cams, then they're not going to be able to do their thuggery in the midterm.
And Trump and MAGA, they're signaling that they're probably going to make concessions. I don't know if you guys saw, but Mike Johnson was interviewed by Kristen Welker on is it Meet the Press or whatever, Face the Nation, whatever one of those.
Yeah.
He said like the way he was trying to spin it was like, yeah, we're open to some of these reforms. Some of them look obvious, and we're just following Trump's lead, who, he's the one that's actually directing that ICE, like start to do these reforms. So like, that's how they're spinning it. I think another administration official, maybe even Trump himself, signaled that they're willing to make concessions. And so, yeah, I mean, this is a weak administration right now. That's pretty significant. Like if they actually do grant, I think the 2 biggest ones would be body cameras, and then what's the other one? Like the mask one, that would be big, but like the no roving bans thing, that would be huge. Like, because look at what ICE is doing in Minnesota right now. That's all. It's just 2,500 to 3,000 agents. Just they have warrants sometimes, I guess, but they're just literally just patrolling the street and pulling over black Uber drivers at the fucking airport. And so, I mean, that those to me are the most important concessions. I know, Pisco, you had some thoughts about like what you want to see.
Yeah, my thoughts are, though I want to give IRI space because I've been talking a lot. IRI, did you want to say something?
No, I mean, I think that, no, I made my point about that. Go ahead.
I think it's good to have cameras. I think that's important. But the reason why I'm blackpilled a little bit on this specific, like, cameras is it's a reality issue. It's an epistemic issue of like what reality we live in, because we have plenty of footage on the Alex. I'm about to have a debate on the Alex Preddy murder after Live and Learn at like 8:30ish or so. And notwithstanding the fact that there's ample footage in that case, that really puts to bed any reasonable defense of use of force there. It doesn't matter for these people. And so for me, it's more deep than that. The issue runs deeper when it comes to ICE, and it runs deeper when it comes to the rot of the MAGA elites, is that they will justify and downplay and cover for things, even when it's right in your face. The Qatari bribe plane, the Mayor Adams' crooked deal with respect to the prosecution, what they're doing with the crypto stuff, and
right,
the
they're
various
just gonna
different
lie, right?
Yes,
Like,
yes.
like we have the footage. It's like Renee Good ran him over. She's a domestic
Terrorist
terrorist. And it's like
assassin.
this isn't true. So
Yes.
like, oh well, when we have the body camera of it,
Who cares, right?
now they're gonna like, oh well, we can't lie about it now. Now we know it's not true. It's like no, they already did, right? Like so, I'm kind of with Pisco on this one. It's like okay, like I'm for reforming ICE in terms of that instead of doing nothing. But this is a deeply rotten group of people with deeply rotten ambitions, and I don't know. Like, I can call this a win, but I can't call this a victory.
Well, what are you pushing? Go ahead, guy.
Abolishing the whole agency.
Well, no, hang on. In the context of the negotiations, that's what I mean.
Yeah, no.
Well, I think if it weren't for these videos, those lies would be believed by a lot more people. And I think the group of people that believe those lies are smaller and smaller. There was a Fox News poll that came out last week that showed almost 60% of people think ICE has gone too far. And if it weren't for those videos showing what actually happened, we wouldn't have people where they are now with pushing back on ICE and pushing back on Trump. So I think if every officer has a body cam on, then it's going to be much, much harder to get away with the lies and the bullshit.
I totally agree with that.
This is an old Biden policy, by the way. I mean, like we talked about this, I think last week or the week before, but I mean, this was Biden's policy. Biden's policy with every federal law enforcement officer had to wear body cams, and Trump got rid of that, I think, literally on the first day. So, but in the specific context of these budget negotiations,
I understand that now.
What do you want to see that you haven't seen from the leadership in terms of asks?
In terms of asks for the other side?
Yeah. What concessions do you want leadership to make or ask for?
I will definitely address that. I just want to address what IRI said real quick, and then I'll say where I think the leadership has been failing in some of the negotiation. So with respect to what IRI just said about the cameras helping generate narratives, I think he's correct about that. All else equal, it helps. But my point is just that it's a symptom of the problem. The deeper problem is no one expects this administration, even in the context of blatant evidence, to hold these people accountable. And if there is no expectation, even in the clear cases, even when the camera shows like whatever, they're not going to be held accountable. They're going to give the suspension and there's no expectation they'll be charged. Well, in what sense is this going to actually deter ICE conduct? Okay, it's on camera. Is that actually going to cause the ICE agents to change their behavior? Or will it just change the impression of people? I'm hoping that it does both, but I'm not sure about that. As for the negotiation aspect of it.
Wait, hold on real quick before you get to that part. In that Senate race that happened in the special election in Texas over the weekend, that was like a very Trumpy district is my understanding. It was like 55, 60%. And the math tells us that there were a not insignificant amount of Republicans that voted for the Democrat in that race. And I think that is directly related to the violence that's happening in Minnesota. So, you ask like,
Hutch, the distinction is that one, and this is good, that the footage gets the voter base to change, which means the administration has to respond, which is why they're capitulating on this Minnesota stuff. And that's good. But what Pisco wants to see is like, give us the actual administration and ICE are reacting directly to the fact that they can't do what they're doing without repercussions, because that's not what's happening right now. It's electoral repercussions, not like, hey, I might go to jail if I shoot someone when
I'm saying the electoral losses, the political cost of what's happening in Minnesota is going to be the thing that motivates the administration to actually like try to do things to
I don't doubt that. I just think that there's that this change for me, it would be a great thing to achieve in the context of negotiations. I think Kristi Noem did it unilaterally in Minnesota. I'm not sure if it was a result of negotiation with Democrats or whatever, and Trump like signed off on it. I'm not disputing that that's an unambiguously good thing, that it will help Democrats unambiguously. What I'm trying to say is, for me, before we see differences in actions from the office, like I want to see the end of some of these deprivations of liberties, some of these excessive uses of force, and I'm not sure that this by itself does it. I think there's a broader issue, or if it does, it cuts so in a way that's symptomatic. I think there's a broader like personnel issue in ICE and a broader like epistemic issue with the MAGA elites. But I'm not trying to poo-poo this. I think it is significant. Go ahead.
You don't think taking a mask off and having ID and being able to ID the officers will change their behavior dramatically?
Yeah, I think the mask thing for sure. Sure. I think that because that will introduce social consequences, which I think are self-evidently going to cause agents to alter their conduct, etc. The videos that may do so, provided that they expect the administration to follow through with punishment. I'm not so sure
or even investigations, right?
Or even investigations
saying we're refusing to do.
But just to Schumer's credit, he's saying masks off, body cams on. He is including them together.
And no roving bands. That's another really big one.
That's 100% good. I think that's great. I think that's wonderful. In terms of negotiation strategy, I think that's a good line to have. As you know, I take an issue that the shutdown should have been broader than just these 6 spending bills. I think it was a shame that we let those, I think, other 6 spending bills pass already. And my strategy on like the overall budget negotiation and the government shutdown has to do with like the broader calamities the administration is doing and giving up Democrats points of leverage more broadly than just the specific issue of ICE. On the specific issue of ICE, I mostly take issue with not fighting harder on the specific allotments to ICE. I think they should try to shift. They should negotiate to shift some of that money away from ICE and DHS in the immigration enforcement context. And I think that some of the signaling, we had this whole spat Hutch on Twitter about getting the U.S. detainees. I think that's dumb. And I can talk about that more if you want to get into our daily fight.
You were, and boys, I want you boys to jump in, IRI and Soypel, forcefully inject yourself into the conversation. But Pisco, you amplified a tweet from Graham Plattner, who I like less and less by the day. But, he was basically calling out Jeffries because Jeffries wanted to include language that called for a ban on deporting U.S. citizens. And I felt that Plattner had a very knee-jerk response, which is like, what are we doing? This is so stupid. This is already illegal. This is just looks like nothing but weakness. And I feel like if you just fucking thought about it for like 2 seconds, then you would understand that this is actually, I think, a pretty savvy move. Because by including that language, even though, it is duplicative and it's already illegal to deport U.S. citizens, obviously. But when you include that language in the concessions that you're asking from the other side, the media is going to cover that. People are going to pick up on it on social media. There's a lot of people in the country that have not been paying attention to the Trump administration, but are paying more attention now because of all the stuff that's happening with Epstein and ICE in Minnesota. And a lot of those people are going to be made aware of the fact that this administration has deported U.S. citizens, including a fucking 5-year-old girl just like a month ago. When was that? I'm not sure. So this is not about it's not about it's not a serious proposal in that it's going to really change anything because, again, there's already laws on the books. But he's raising awareness of an issue that is really unpopular with American voters. I don't understand what the problem with that is.
Yeah, sure.
Wait, let me give my interpretation of this as someone who agrees with you, Hutch, because I think this is politically viable. What I see in this knee-jerk reaction, and this is not to defend Plattner in general, because again, I also don't like him the more I see now. Not his politics, just the way his judgment is. But the idea is, time and time again, we have seen Democrats do some kind of policy like this and then kind of brag and tout this as a win when the policy itself hasn't, as you said, changed anything. Obviously, this is a politically good strategy if you're going to force the Republicans to say, no, we don't want to vote on that for whatever reason. But if you're going to come out after it passes and be like, look, we did it, guys. And it's like, great. There's a bigger problem here that you haven't addressed if that was the only thing they did. And so he's kind of reacting to that as like, oh, they're going to do it again. They're going to pretend like they won after they really didn't change anything. But it's stupid, but I get it because Democrats have done this in the past and it's frustrating.
Republicans have done this. Yeah, like Trump says in California, you can have an abortion after the baby's born and smother it to death. So they do the same bullshit and I don't have a problem with it. I think it's savvy as well.
Yeah, so this is my issue with it. First, I want to say I'm not a Plattner stan. I've called him out on his lies for the tattoo. I didn't like what he had to say about impeaching judges on the Supreme Court without any...
We know you're not a stan.
Well, actually, he gives them 3 strikes, right? What does he have, 2 already? He's still not on your shit list?
I'm just not impressed. I'm not impressed. I haven't been impressed so far. That said, I have problems with Mills for other reasons. And I just like... I'm not trying to come at this from a perspective of, I love everything that Plattner does. That said, this is what it would take for me to be okay with what Jeffries did there. And maybe this is the plan. If he said something like this, we want to make it a crime to wrongfully deport a U.S. citizen. We want to give a cause of action for civil damages for U.S. citizens who are wrongfully deported, which is oftentimes very tough for you to be able to have a remedy for these kinds of deprivations from the federal context. In the context of state deprivations, there's this thing called the 1983 action, but it's a lot harder in the federal context. And so all you would have to show for me to be like completely moved to the other side is that you were trying to add to the array of remedies available for people who are wrongfully deported U.S. citizens under color of law. Here's my issue with it. The first is, unfortunately for Hutch, an internal critique of your position that you just laid out, and then I'll give you my active view. This is exactly the rationale of people who say Joe Biden should have fought harder on some of these issues that he was never going to get, or it would have been just useless posturing or signaling. That him staking out a position on this will have the effect of raising the temperature, raising awareness of how unreasonable the other side is being. And therefore, even if there's no tangible benefit from a legislative perspective on X, Y, or Z, he should raise it just to like raise the consciousness of the American people. And in so doing, it will give him more political leverage. And you rejected it then as a.
Let me jump in and address that though. Biden was in power at that time. That's the difference. We are out of power. And so this would be a method of raising salience and awareness of an issue that is like really unpopular for this administration. So I don't think it maps quite one-to-one in the way that you think. The reason why Biden, getting caught trying on $15 an hour is not a good idea is because that had no chance of success. So what are you doing? You're just highlighting failure. And I just don't take these people at their word, like the Vanguard, who say that they would have, they would have liked it if he would have done that. If he would have done that, they would have just called him weak anyways. They're just lying about that.
Well, I don't want to take a view about whether they're lying or not. I don't think that that's relevant to what the point I'm bringing. The point I'm bringing is internal to you. I think that you, if you view this as somehow different because, well, Biden's in power. And so any kind of effort he makes with respect to something he's not able to do, namely in the context of the Manchin situation, raise the minimum wage, is futile because he's in power. And so he'll be blamed for the failure or something. I guess I don't actually know the distinction there. It's just it's different, but I don't know why that matters to the analysis. It does seem that you can grant that there are times in which raising overall consciousness about a given issue is worth it, notwithstanding the fact that you aren't going to get any tangible benefit of it. And
I never said that was universally. No, I never said that was universally never like possible. I never said that. But
in the context of the minimum wage fight, you're like, it's not worth doing this because, and I want to say, well, why? They both don't have any sort of effect if you're not going to move Manchin on it, and if you're not going to be able to change the nature of the law in this context when you're out of power. You lack the power in both cases.
No, but it's already illegal. The point, I think, of Jeffrey's move was twofold. Number one, again, you're making potentially millions of Americans aware of the fact that Donald Trump is deporting U.S. citizens. And number two, you're going to force Republicans to vote no on that. Like, have fun with that in this climate, in a huge anti-ICE, anti-Trump administration climate.
Both things are true of the example of the raising the minimum wage, in that it would raise awareness of the minimum wage fight. It would force an unpopular vote. I mean, that's the logic of the force to vote people. I'm not saying that I buy it in that context. There are things I can think of.
It's not the same logic at all, bro. That's not the same. The force to vote, they're fucking fully delusional, because the way that they rationalized that was that, you get everybody on the record and then you just primary everybody who voted against Medicare for all. This is not like a serious proposal. It's just LARPy kind of fantastical bullshit. This is something that has like a very clear tactical advantage, and it's trained at our opposition. What you're talking about in the context of Biden was like an intra-party civil war in the first fucking month of Biden's presidency over a policy that had no chance of getting over the finish line because there was just not enough votes in the Senate. I don't understand how this is.
I'm talking about the minimum wage stuff, and so you don't think it would be?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
you think it would be politically useful to get the Republicans on the record in terms of minimum wage? You don't think that they were arguing that?
Wait, peace go.
Pisco, did you support the force the vote for Medicare back with Pelosi's fight with AOC and them?
No, I did not, and I have a reason that I distinguish them. But I'm just noticing what I do distinguish these two. And I want to be clear about that. I do distinguish these two, but I just want to be clear that you should have a reason that you distinguish them, because the people who have a force to vote or vote on raising the minimum wage, they will say the same things. Get the Republicans on the record. This will help you politically. If you get your popular agenda on the record,
but they're just wrong. They're just wrong because, like, for the party that's
just wrong. That's conclusive.
No.
Right?
They're just wrong because the party that's in power is going to get blamed for the failure. So, like, if they did a force the vote on $15 an hour minimum wage, the conversation online is not going to be about Republicans not supporting a $15 an hour minimum wage. That's baked in. We know this about Republicans. The conversation online is going to be, oh, look at this, like, failure. Like, Biden is starting his presidency, waging this public fight over 15, and then he failed. That's what would have been the narrative.
Yeah. So in my estimation, this is why I'm against. So now give my affirmative case. I don't agree that, to my estimation, I think that you've sufficiently sort of distinguished them for me. You're basically saying, well, they'll be blamed because they're in power. That's what we said about the shutdown in the first place, and you rejected it in the context of the shutdown. And so now it seems like we're crafting these rules that anytime there's wait, why are you laughing, Hutch?
Because you're connecting all these things as if they're, like, perfectly analogous or even, like, vaguely analogous, and they're not. I
think that the rules are kind of crafted for the given situation. So in one context, of course, the party in power is going to get blamed for every bad thing. They're in power. But then all of a sudden that logic doesn't turn on in the context of, like, a signaling vote. Well, in the context of where your party's in power, then you will be blamed for the signaling vote, even if it's popular or something.
Do you disagree?
Hutch,
hang on.
Hutch, before you respond, can I give just like an example of this? I think IRI actually mentioned it. There are a lot of Republican signaling votes where they'll throw some stupid thing like it's like the Protect the Children Against Pedophiles Act, and it's something that, like, already exists, and, like, they're like, hey, we're not going to vote for this because you've attached some pork barrel crap to the bottom, and the thing that you want that's protecting children is, like, something that's already legal. And this doesn't really hurt Democrats, right? Like, even when they are in power, this happened during Biden's administration. So this could work. It also couldn't work. And the idea that, like, this will definitely work and it's genius, I think, is kind of what Pisco is poking at, is, like, this could work. He's acknowledging that. But the idea that, like, oh, this is like a perfect move, this is the best position, isn't necessarily supported by any polling or evidence.
I think it's bad. And so I think, like, you don't need the vote aspect of it to raise awareness of the U.S. Deportation of U.S. citizens. But here's what I want it to be: we will punish you with crimes if you do this. This is a mechanism that's not just repeating the law that exists. I want the demand: if you're going to do a signal vote, have it be a good signal vote on something with fucking teeth. That's what I want.
That's a different argument.
If it's not going to, no, well, that's my argument. It's like, it's going to piss off all of your base that you want should be excited about it. And for what end? If it's just a signaling vote for the memes and you want to bring awareness to it, why not give it some fucking balls? Right? Like, and so why have this like just ban it? Like, okay, ban it. It's already banned. How about we punish it with crimes and we have some teeth to it? And if that was the position, I would be like, that's based. Plattner, what the fuck are you talking about? We don't actually have an assumption that this kind of violation of civil rights necessarily implies criminal punishments. That's why this is good, and we should force a vote on this. So that's what I'm trying to say is, if it's just signaling vote, let's give it some fucking balls.
But Pisco, you admit we're in the beginning stages of the negotiation process. There could be more to it, where maybe they learned a lesson from the Epstein Files Transparency Act and said, okay, he ran through those deadlines and there was no punishment, so they may write some punishment into this that could rise to what you're looking for, right?
It's possible that the reporting is misleading. It's just they didn't give the full scope of the provision they're arguing for, in which case I will 100% apologize. Here's the feeling I get, IRI. It feels like we're negotiating against ourselves. It feels like and that's what it feels like from the base perspective. It's not from the lefty perspective. From the base perspective, it feels like we are anchoring ourselves to the compromised position starting out of the gate. And it feels like the negotiation strategies are
Wait, hang on. I gotta cut you off here because I'm reading an article. Jeffries also stipulated that there must be language in any new DHS bill empowering state and local law enforcers to conduct their own investigations and perhaps bring their own charges in cases of alleged misconduct by DHS officers.
That's another fucked up thing. Because I think, well, making it explicit probably is better with those specific areas, but that's assuming that they're not already empowered to do that kind of stuff, that they're not already empowered to do those investigations, when I think that it's one of the areas of weakness of Minnesota right now, the state actors, Keith Ellison and Tim Walz, is I haven't seen an update on the murder investigations that they're running. I think they should have charged this week. I think they should have charged like a week ago. But even if you're not, just giving an update on it. So it's run into the same problem with that, the state actors aspect. And yeah, that's not specifically what I'm talking about. The specific deprivation when it comes to the deportation, right? The deportation of a citizen. It's not clear that that would have a state nexus there, or that there ought to be a state nexus for a state to sue in that capacity, or for states to be able to investigate that shit. That almost to me would seem like potentially the Supreme Court's going to strike that down. And yeah, I just want there to be a broader set of teeth to the kind of propositions that are being offered. And I don't think that like just reiterating things that I take to already be the law is useful. Maybe sometimes when you actually have the power to pass something. An example of this is the Electoral Count Reform Act, where I actually do think it's already the law that the vice president has a merely ceremonial role. But in that context, when you're trying to like cut off bad faith actors and you have a majority already to vote for it, maybe you can say okay there. But in that context, I don't like it.
Do you contest that including this kind of language in these budget negotiations will make potentially millions of Americans aware of something that they weren't otherwise aware of before, which is the fact that they're deporting U.S. citizens? And do you dispute that it would be a political liability for any Republican to vote against such language, and that you could exploit that by doing a kind of signal vote and getting these Republicans to, I mean, the headlines kind of, the campaign ads write themselves, like so-and-so fucking senator from, West Virginia was opposed to language banning the deportation of U.S. citizens. Like, do you even dispute that there's value there, potential, like very real value there, political value?
Potential meaning it's possible that it could be valuable.
Don't do this. Come on.
I'm asking you.
You know what I'm asking.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. Is it plausible that this could be a massive benefit politically to Democrats? That's what I mean.
I don't think it's going to be I don't think that it's likely that it'll be a massive benefit to Democrats that include this language in there. That said, on the margin, I think I would rather have some language in there addressing it, but I want the language that's in there addressing it, or whatever signaling value is going to be there, to be with respect to a provision with fucking teeth and balls. That's what I'm saying. And so the comparison isn't between a world in which,
the same as the last thing, right, Pisco? Right. Like you and I, with it's like, hey, do we think this is a win but not a victory? This is just us being greedy and wanting more. It's not saying this is bad, like not at all.
Yeah, and so I want to be able to like put forth this negotiating position to my audience, be like, this is based as fuck. Everyone should be voting for this. We're so excited. Look at how evil they are. But with this, it's like, guys, this is just this. I have to like acknowledge the meta of it if I'm trying to sell this and trying to make a thing about it. If I were to go, like, imagine me going on Tim Pool and being like, wow, you guys voted against requiring citizens to do whatever, and they're like, well, isn't that already illegal on your view? I'm like, well, yeah, but it was a signal vote. So I want to have, as an influencer, the ability to look at something and be like, this has balls, this has teeth, to get excited about it. And the comparison isn't between, well, if you don't do anything versus do you include this provision? The comparison is, do you include the provision versus do you include the provision with teeth as I wanted? And on both those scores, I think you have to concede that the one with teeth is better. And I don't know why we would negotiate against ourselves and do the one without teeth.
I just think we're early in the process. Schumer said they're going to spend the next 2 weeks negotiating, and I wouldn't be surprised if more solid language comes out from that. But also, I think Hakeem Jeffries has set the Democrats up to get even more concessions, because he's told Mike Johnson, you got to pass the rule on your own with no Democratic votes. So Mike Johnson might fail tomorrow at that, and then he's got to come hat in hand to Hakeem, and that gives them room to ask for even more. So I don't know. I guess, Pisco, is it unfair for me to say that we're early in the process? And it feels like I don't know what you read. I'd be curious to know, but
yeah,
I haven't seen any like definitive language that makes me think that they're going to be toothless requirements.
This is the tweet.
And I'll admit, when you read the language too, I didn't even know he had said the investigation part of that. I hadn't seen that yet. So like that made me happier. I was like, well, I thought that wasn't in there. Now it is.
So this is from Lisa Desjardins. She's a PBS correspondent.
Desjardins.
Sorry, my bad. House Democratic leader Representative Jeffries just told me in his news conference that he wants a ban on deportation of U.S. citizens as part of a deal on DHS conduct and the immigration crackdown. I read this and I'm like, you're like, why, Pisco, could you be pissed at that? I'm like, well, what the fuck? If we're going to try to include language on something that's already illegal, I'm pissed that it's not make this a crime, make this a cause of action that civilians can actually sue to vindicate it, change it so that when I try to sell it to my audience, to people, not that I'm the hugest person, I can say, look at how our Democratic leaders are trying to make the situation better. And I will be able to more forcefully advocate on behalf of our leaders if they give us something to work with to suggest, hey, we might be able to have a cause of action if we have the Democrats in charge to actually sue the government when this shit happens to you.
But to IRI's point though, he keeps saying, this is like the third time he said it, is that the negotiations are taking form like literally right now. They're probably having meetings in Capitol Hill like right now.
Well, I think
so we actually don't even
right now.
We actually don't even know the specifics of what they're hashing out. And
should we get feedback right now?
It could be in 4 days we're having a different conversation, because there will be language about, maybe making it easier to sue the federal government if they deport a U.S. citizen.
But what Pisco's saying is if there isn't the language, then it's going to be a little bit feckless in his eyes, and it's going to fit that kind of Democrat stereotype. So yeah, it's like as long as we get there. And actually, I would say, I wanted to your point, Pisco. Even if we're just looking at this materially as like what helps in the midterms, what helps in the optics, like if we don't get the actual concessions of, hey, we're going to punish people who commit the crime. What looks better? What invigorates people? Hey, I'm going to enforce the law on the books. And it's like, what the fuck? Like they're already there. Or I'm going to change this and make it better. Like that language of I'm going to materially improve this, and not, hey, we have to enforce the laws in the books. It's just better messaging. But
like, it would be under the executive branch, the people that would be doing these kind of prosecutions. And so like, let's say
there's no doubt. Well, there's no doubt about that, but there could be a civil cause of action as well that they could create. So anything that's enforceable, if it's a criminal penalty or whatever, presumably the federal government would be the one enforcing that. There, you could include a civil component into it as well, giving the right to sue. But even putting that aside, Hutch, like it's just an easier message. We're changing fundamentally how it operates when this happens. And for the same signaling reasons that you state, but the signaling of just keeping things, rebanning it, I don't think for me, it leaves me in an annoying spot where I'm having to get excited and like excite my audience about provisions that I think have no effect and are lame.
Well, Pisco, I applaud that you want more to fight on behalf of the Dems. I say that sincerely. Like I appreciate that. But I think this is just a passing comment from Hakeem Jeffries to Lisa. She's a PBS News reporter. He's just trying to throw something out there like we're going to get them to not ban, throw out Americans, whatever. But I really think the masks off, body cams on will be the teeth of this and neuter. I know Hutch thinks the warrants and all that and the no roving bans, but I think the masks off will completely neuter what Trump is doing with ICE. So to me, that is the big part of it. Yeah.
I think people also need to understand that this is a pretty remarkable moment in that the minority party seems poised to extract like actual, meaningful concessions. Does that ever really happen in government? So, they are the minority party. And so I do think they should be aggressive in these negotiations and, get as much as they can. But I think like, honestly, right now the Democrats are doing a pretty fucking decent job. And in terms of averting a larger shutdown, I don't understand the idea that we gave up our leverage, because the leverage right now is the fact that this administration is just like in a free fall with the public. If the election in Texas was not a wake up call for the Republican Party and the Trump administration, I don't know what to say. Like the leverage still exists because the public is like revolting. So we don't need to threaten like a larger shutdown. It just makes me think that you're like a chaos agent. Little bit.
No, I don't think we need to threaten a larger shutdown right now because of what you just said. But imagine, because this is what you were saying, 2 months ago when the other shutdown ended. If this hadn't happened, if two people hadn't been shot on video in this visceral way, do you think we would have anywhere near the leverage we have right now in this partial shutdown? Because I don't.
No.
Yeah, like I don't think any of us could have predicted it would get this bad this quickly in this many weeks. And it's good that we don't need to do a full shutdown, but I think it might have been a different story had ICE just been going around doing their job and not getting captured being evil. In 4K like they are. So
there's just too many Democratic senators that don't like shutting the government down, and so it's just really difficult to imagine. And then something like this comes along and it changes the politics. But
I have a more radical view than you. I think that we should be more okay with shutting this motherfucker down. And you think that that's too risky, and like that's our fundamental disagreement on that. I don't think that it's meaningless to IRS point and Hutch's point. These are meaningful in the sense of having cameras, and if it's a case that we're able to enforce it, not masking the officers, that is significant. I do want to say it's not the case that minority parties never get concessions. Under Biden, the minority party got the concession of how long the delay for Ukraine funding, right? This is an important centerpiece of Biden's foreign policy is to support Ukraine, and they were able to cut that out of the after they negotiated a CR across the aisle, a fair negotiation. Trump essentially was able to shut this down with the help of his cronies in the Republican Party because they had that like veto vote in the House of Representatives. Now I understand in that context they had a majority in the House of Representatives. I understand that, but similarly, right, the Democrats have the ability tangibly to, with the filibuster, do effectively the same thing. So that's all I mean.
That's a pretty big distinction. I mean, they control the House. We're the minority government. So they're, you know, if you control the House, you have more leverage in these kinds of negotiations.
I think that the ability to stop the legislation is the same in both contexts. And that's why I don't ever understand the view of people who are like, well, I'm okay with Democrats voting against like whatever Republican CR or funding bill. But when it comes to the Senate, I think the Senate should invoke cloture. I don't understand that distinction, right? Like if it's good for the House like uniformly to stand against the funding legislation that happened before in the first shutdown of this term, why would it be good for the Senate to invoke cloture or not vote in that same way? And so given, I think it's a power question. I think in both contexts, there's a power to stymie the administration, both with the Senate filibuster perspective and the House majority perspective. But maybe you think differently in terms of the optics, but I just don't view, and I think Ira has made this point before, the American people aren't like read into the procedural morass of the House of Congress and their ability to, you know, what does it mean, this filibuster thing? Like I would say probably 8 out of 10 political commentators don't understand it.
Yeah, and supposedly Trump called Chuck Schumer saying we can't have a shutdown. What is it going to take? And so he, you know, a lot of people say Democrats got nothing from the first shutdown, but it does seem like Trump is terrified of another shutdown for some reason.
Democrats unequivocally won that first shutdown, like hands down, just unequivocally won that first shutdown. So I don't understand that logic. Whatever.
Well, I think people have some pretty big expectations for what's possible without paying attention on a daily basis. And I wish we could get huge things, but unfortunately, our electeds care about the people and they know how they'll suffer if the government shuts down. And so they're hesitant to do that.
Maybe the next Congress or the Congress after that, but the current Congress, there's like just too many Democratic senators that will do anything they can to avoid a shutdown, basically, or like a really, really prolonged shutdown. It's just not on the cards. You could try to pressure them, but I don't know. I feel like we should also be reminding people that in moments like these, if you live in a district where a Republican is serving, or if you live in a state where a Republican is serving, you can call their office and leave an angry voicemail. You can organize protests outside of their office. Like we don't need to just be pressuring like Democrats right now. It just kind of drives me fucking insane. They are susceptible to pressure in this moment, obviously. So
yeah,
like
even if you have a Republican family, talk to them about church, like present these issues as they are, show them videos of people being shot and be like, hey, call them and tell them to stop this. This is like the grassroots stuff everyone talks about. Like, hey, local politics is just as important. Well, local politics sometimes means getting in your community and pressuring your local House member. Like you should know who your local House member is and yell at them. Like you can do this. It's great.
Yeah. Just drives me nuts. Just drives me fucking insane. Because that part seems to be just like totally lacking. I'm not even just talking about like far lefties here. I'm talking about even just like regular normie libs that are kind of like resist libs that are super pissed off and talk a lot about the Democratic Party leadership. Like if you live in a state or a district that is governed by Republicans, you can fucking demonstrate and organize protests and do all kinds of things to push them. And there's just no collective
they're not like
that right now.
You assume that resistance.
Well, what are you seeing that I'm not seeing?
Well, yeah, that to be fair, Hutch, you are seeing the Twitch, Twitter, or keyboard warriors, right? Like, who probably aren't doing these things, but trust me, the wine moms, they're out there calling for blood in the streets. They're already out there protesting.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's I'm talking about them. But like, they could just as easily organize protests outside of Republicans.
That's what I'm saying. They are doing this. I've seen that.
Is there a reason why they're not?
In super liberal Berkeley, they're out there at the local ICE facility. I know people in Pennsylvania are doing it at their local Republican office. Like again, I don't have the data on this, but like I think the resist libs have been kind of on point with this. Like if anyone's screeching into the void at Democrats, it's usually the terminally online people that don't have these communities. But I do think the resist libs are out there, and part of the apology tour for like being right since 2015 about Trump being Hitler.
100%,
and super fucking on point.
And one other thing is part of the reason why it's concentrated in these Democratic areas is because that's where Trump is targeting with the ICE stuff. Like he's targeting these Democratic states and Democratic cities. And so that's where you're seeing like an outsized part of people calling out and talking shit in those places where the biggest effect of Trump's corruption and deployments, whether it's the National Guard, military, or ICE.
Yeah, I think we moved on from something really quickly, and I want to revisit, even though it's not serious, but it's Trump live calling these people during raids. Can you imagine him being like the guy in the chair? Like I'm looking and you're all tiny little yellow dots down there, and I don't really know which one, maybe left, maybe right. I don't know. Just go in. Like, I think that's fucking hilarious. I think I want to see the Trump Situation Room when we're doing like the terrorist raids and like the fucking SEAL Team 6 telling him to shut the hell up while he's in their ear, because I would pay money for that.
It's really bad, like procedurally, to have the president is so intimately involved in an FBI raid in that kind of way, and like, you know, having Tulsi Gabbard there to sort of like spy on what was happening and tell him what, like, obviously that the corrupt implications are like deeply alarming, but there's also the damage that he's doing to the general public who now view this kind of thing to be normal. Like Soy Pill, you mentioned, I think last week or the week before, was it you that was talking about how like young people now, all they know of American politics really is like the Trump administration, starting with the Trump administration. And so like in their minds, it's like a normal thing for a president to, you know, direct DOJ to investigate people and call into a fucking FBI raid for, you know, live updates. But it's not. These are like deeply corrupt actions. And, you know, I love Josiah. Josiah's my boy. I love Josiah. He's my boy. But, you know, for example, he was on Twitter today saying that the next Democratic president should run on, and I think we've talked about this on the podcast like a few times, but he's saying that, like, you know, potentially Gavin Newsom should run on, you know, prosecuting former cabinet members. And
no, wait, shouldn't. I agree. Absolutely, you should. No, absolutely. No. I want trials. I want Nuremberg trials. Okay. The difference is the decorum's out the window. The decorum's out the window. It's absolutely out the window. And when they've actually done the fucking crimes, I absolutely want the ability to go into that voting booth knowing my vote is going to help punish the people for fucking trying to cheat and steal and kill Americans. I want them in jail for this shit. I am.
No, I would refrain from
Jones QAnon.
Hutch, I would refrain from like commenting in depth about specific actors unless really, really pushed by like some questioner or something. I would say I'm going to appoint a prosecutor to take a look at the criminal actions by the administration, and it's not political for me to do so because it's not political to stand up for American rights, and I'm not going to put a thumb on that investigation. But how can you not say that? Like, that's my main issue. Like, accountability and punishment and structural reform with respect to all the things that trigger the need for accountability and punishment, that's my number one issue. And for you to say like we should not, maybe like there's ways in which you're saying it that I would agree with. I don't actually think the president should involve himself in the day-to-day charging decisions. I agree with that. And I don't think that you should say I'm going to like put this specific officer like behind bars. I would agree with that. But in terms of running investigations, because some people need to be behind bars and we need to have punishment, that general proposition is the most important part of a Democrat's platform to me.
No, I like, look, I agree. Like I want trials. Like I want criminal trials for this corruption. So I'm not over here, you know, like,
okay, so not lock them up, but accountability as like a campaign platform.
Yeah, you can phrase it in a very general way, but as soon as the president or a candidate starts getting into specifics about I'm going to charge like former cabinet members or I'm going to direct DOJ to investigate former cabinet members, that's actually a really good norm in this country that we not have that kind of thing. No. And you can get the same result by just fucking literally appointing Jack Smith to be AG. Just appoint a bulldog and you don't even have to like say the words or pick up the phone. You know he's gonna go fucking ham on
Let's compromise. I'm okay with Democrats dog whistling about locking them all up.
100%. They should dog whistle about it. And
I get behind dog whistling. I mean, as long as it's like very broad, but like it is not a good.
We will restore decorum and sanity to this administration. How about that?
We will hold them accountable. We will punish criminal wrongdoing within the previous cabinet. We will do that.
No, I don't think you should. I don't think you should even get into specifics about the previous cabinet.
I will.
Hutch, you have to. Hutch, look what happened after 2000 when Al Gore's like, "Look, I don't want to divide the country," and they got away with fucking stealing.
No,
that
you're not characterizing what I'm
spread
saying
into the Tea Party.
correctly.
No, I understand what you're saying. What I'm saying is, I think if you do this, they're going to get away with it again. I think, yeah, it would be cool if you don't campaign on it, but there's a thirst. If we win without it, maybe that'd be cool. I'm not sure that these people who are seeing these crimes being.
It's not necessary to corrupt it in that kind of way, and that is corrupt. Do you guys even disagree that that's corrupt for the?
It's corrupt.
The president.
It's corrupt. Well, that's why I think the pardons were corrupt of Hunter Biden. Just putting it out there. I do think it would be corrupt.
Is it corrupt for the president to say we're going to go after the previous administration?
Not inherently, no.
What do you mean? How is that not corrupt? Like that? I feel like
they did crimes. Okay, wait. Hutch, what if they did the worst crimes ever? And so we can't say anything about punishing them. We'll be like, look, guys, this country, we don't want to divide it more. Every administration is allowed to get away with it. And then after you get into office, like, rug pull, we're actually fucking going to prosecute you. Like, you're just allowed to not talk about these things during the election.
No,
like, how does that work?
If it's coming from the president, and the president is directing DOJ to go after specific people or specific groups.
That's not what we're saying. We're not saying that. I agree on that. I agree with that.
No, but you said you want Gavin Newsom to say that you'll pursue accountability for the Trump administration.
Yeah, for members of the Trump administration who committed crimes.
That's specifics. That's what I'm talking about. You don't think that's corrupt?
No, any more that it would be corrupt to say, hey, we're gonna go after organized crime in this country, in the Italian American.
No, but that's very broad. That's very broad. You can just say
the nature of the corruption is within the government. That's where the corruption is. That's where you have to specify.
But I feel like you guys haven't given me a good reason for like why that's necessary. You can accomplish the same thing again by appointing Jack Smith to be AG, and he will fucking move with lightning speed. This guy, he will appoint a special counsel probably in the first like 3 months, and then you're off to the races. As soon as Gavin Newsom gets up there and says we're going to go after the previous administration, like obviously the lawfare shit was nonsense when it came from the Republicans, but that shit, do you guys realize that shit worked? Like a lot of normies feel like Joe Biden personally directed Merrick Garland to go after Donald Trump.
Exactly. No, wait, Hutch, I'm fucking triggered. We didn't do this. We didn't do what we're saying. No, exactly. And all these people are against it.
Imagine how much worse it's going to be.
Because of Republican lies.
Imagine how much worse it's going to be. No, you're not understanding my point. Imagine how much worse the perception is going to be if Newsom just comes out and says the thing. Like, why is that necessary? But tell me why that is necessary when you can just appoint Jack Smith and you know he's going to do that.
People will actually fucking care about. Like, oh, wow, you're actually going to punish the people who have destroyed our institutions. You're actually going to do something about it and not look like
that's red meat for Dem. No, that's red meat for like the Dem voter base. Like you have to think about. We had the
lowest voter turnout in such a long time that we lost the popular vote because people felt like Kamala wasn't differentiating herself from the other people. And if you go up and you,
why are you avoiding my question though? Why is appointing Jack Smith not preferable? And then you can have president
to have.
Then you can have president
after previous administrations.
Then you can.
Wait. You can do both. You can do both.
Hold on, that's not my question. Why is your method better than just appointing Jack Smith and not saying?
I can tell you.
Because I'm thinking that this is going to depress voter turnout. I think voters will be like, "Why the fuck are you saying you're not going to do anything about this? Like, this is crazy. You're just going to let it happen again."
No, you talk in a very general sense about cracking down on government corrupt. No, you're not. You're saying you're going to go after the Trump administration.
No, wait, hang on a second.
Say you're going to go after government corruption. That's all you got to say.
Like what we're seeing now, like we're seeing a bunch of corruption.
So just say government corruption. This is what you can say. You can say, I'm not going to prejudge any investigation, but we are going to launch criminal investigations and I'm going to make sure that whoever I appoint as Attorney General will be will try to find accountability for the actors in this administration who have done any criminal actions. Why is this necessary? I don't understand.
So here's the question, right? Like you're saying, why is it necessary? Is your question about why would it be good, or is your question is it strictly necessary?
Is it worth the potential baggage and damage that could do to the administration. Don't you want Newsom fully focused on delivering his agenda? Like, if you do this,
part of that agenda is accountability and punishment. That's part of the agenda. Soypill just answered you. Soypill just answered. You can say I don't believe you. Soypill says he believes the electoral benefits of signaling that way will outweigh the cost. Now you can say that I don't believe him. That's crazy, man. You can't say he didn't answer your question.
Yeah, and also, Hutch, if you had polling to show otherwise, I would change my mind. If you showed like, hey, when people talk about this depresses Democrat voter enthusiasm. Yeah, I'd be like, okay, then we should absolutely not be saying this. Like, if this increases the like, I feel like politics is too divided and it makes me not want to vote, then I'd be like, okay, you're right, this is bad messaging. But until I see that, I want the red meat. Give it to me. Well, sorry, go ahead, guy.
Let me try to back up Hutch a little bit here, okay? But I think what Hutch is trying to say is, even if we don't have the public's trust, then any accountability we pursue won't lead to anything. So if the public doesn't believe that these are impartial investigations and they take it as it's just revenge from the left on the right, then we'll be right back to where we are. So first and foremost, I think what Hutch is saying is we have to reestablish that trust. And how do you do that? You separate the executive branch from the DOJ as much as possible. Once again, I think that's what Hutch is trying to say. Now, I would say if Gavin Newsom said, I'm going to quadruple the budget of the DOJ when I get in there, and I'm going to put 10 special counsels to look into corruption that happened over the last 10 years instead of just the last 4 years. And we'll look into Hunter Biden as well, or something like that. You probably win a lot of people.
If you want justice served, you want to protect that. You want to protect that process as much as possible. And if the Democratic president is seen as personally directing DOJ, well, then we're just basically back to Nixon at that point, and all bets are off.
That's not what we're proposing. I'm not proposing that Gavin Newsom, whoever the nominee is, or when they're president, specifically get involved in these decisions. I agree with that. I think that's a norm that should be respected. The difference is the following, and this is the last thing I'm going to have to go to a panel on Alex Preddy. The difference is the following. Suppose that Biden were asked, will it be part of your
Biden or Newsom?
Biden back in 2020. Let's I know that the January 6th happened in after the election, okay, but just assume it didn't. It's a hypothetical. If they ask, hey, is it a big feature of your administration to go after those who committed crimes on January 6th? How should Biden answer that question?
The way that he probably did it at the time, which is like, I don't comment on these kinds of things from DOJ. That's what he said. Like
it's a campaign debate. He's on stage with the Republican, and the Republican's like, listen, I don't know about that. And then they ask you, Mr. Biden, sir, would you make it a policy priority of your Department of Justice to go after those who committed violence on January 6th? Your answer would be, you're Biden, go.
I just told you the answer would be what he said anytime he was asked about like any kind of involvement with DOJ. He took efforts rhetorically, and he was asked this many, many times about like Trump's trials and stuff. He always said, I'm not involved in DOJ criminal proceedings. They're an independent agency, and I support whatever kind of thing.
Couldn't he say I won't prejudge? Wait. I won't prejudge any case.
Pisco. Would it be okay? Pisco. Would it be okay if Gavin just said, "Look, I'm not directly involving myself. This is not my campaign priority. However, I fully support a fully funded DOJ to investigate all the corruption of the past administration and any other previous administration." That's a
slightly different framing. So I think that might work, but you you don't want the president to like corrupt that process, right? Like,
but he already did.
Like,
it's done.
But Pisco, like you surely you understand the potentially corrupt influence of a president personally weighing in on specifics this way. You could actually like hurt the trial. You could actually hurt the case by weighing in as a president or a presidential candidate.
Not at the level that I'm talking about. No, not at the level that I'm talking about. You don't say it's because
a lawyer. You don't think a lawyer for a Jan 6 person would be like, well, the president, how am I supposed to get a fair trial or whatever?
They tried it with Trump. Hunter Biden tried it, and it didn't work. I mean, you really have to find like the best cases. These are hard cases to win, and the best example of that was James Comey. And unfortunately, before that motion was decided, well, actually, fortunately, because Halligan was not a real officer, and so they had to dismiss the case anyway. But I have no problem with at a policy level, right? At a policy level, which I believe this is, to say, hey, there was a lot of corruption in the previous administration. We're going to look into that. We think that there was a lot of bribery. We think that there was a lot of this and that. I actually think it's fine for a president to acknowledge empirical reality and say, I won't involve myself in the charging decisions, but I'm not going to ignore and lie to the American people. We're seeing graft, we're seeing bribery, we're seeing corruption, and my administration is going to look into it.
You know what, Peaceful? Let's make a compromise. We can back up. We can make it more vague, more broad. Let's say we're going to drain the swamp and get rid of corruption. Okay, I think that's fine. We can run on that, right?
Hell yeah.
This is
IRS on board. Hutch, you on board? Drain the swamp
again.
Okay, bye, Peace. But guys, we're going to wrap up here soon too. But if you want to go see more Pisco, he's having a great debate. He's debating that idiot bodybuilder guy and some other dumbass. So go watch him to school these people on Alex Peretti.
I want to keep selling you on this. Okay, this is a good norm to have in a liberal democracy. This is a really good norm to insulate the DOJ from any kind of like corrupt influence. But even if like
you're preaching to the choir, I agree with you. You don't have to sell me on this. I agree. I just don't think that norm exists anymore, and we can reinstitute it after the election. I don't think we need to put it back before.
No, someone's got to be. Listen, like someone has to be fighting for like a healthy liberal democracy. Like someone has to carry that torch. Okay,
I feel like we need to restore sanity. Like tour was done in 2024, and I just don't think that's what people want right now. I don't think that's as electorally positive.
But again, you can do all this. You can get this accountability, and you can get justice for people that were doing corrupt things in the previous administration by simply appointing a bulldog prosecutor to be the attorney general, and then you don't have to do all the rest.
I don't disagree with you. Again, I don't disagree with you. I think, and maybe we because we don't have specific examples of how Newsom might do this. If you have signaling that makes the people feel heard, yeah, this is all bad stuff. Yes, this will be people who are going to be held accountable. And also, to your credit, say, but I'm not going to personally involve myself. I'm sure there's a way we can craft and make both of this happy so that we're not destroying that norm, or we can reestablish the norm and still have people feel like, hey, people are actually going to be punished for the crimes. I think there's a way forward.
As long as you stress, as long as you really stress, I am not going to involve myself in the charging decisions of DOJ in any kind of, as long as you stress that. Like stress that that's of paramount importance, because it is. It just fucking is.
It is. But would you grant me this? Grant me this. Most people don't even know that that's a thing. Most people don't know about that separation, and most people don't care. And so
the point
establishing that will matter less than people feeling heard about prosecuting crimes.
No, but sorry, Guy, go ahead.
It's important to reestablish the public's trust in the DOJ. And I don't think you can do that if the president is involved in any way at all. That's what Hutch is trying to say. Like,
no, I agree. I understand this, but what I'm asking is I don't know. I don't have data on this. I could be totally wrong. I'm just asking, do you think that you're really destroying the trust by, let's say they went full on, like, Trump lock her up? How many people were genuinely upset at the Trump lock her up stuff only because that was the first time they heard it, and because they understood that he should be separate from the DOJ, and not because the Democrats explained it to them? Like, I feel like most people don't understand.
Isn't that the point, though? Isn't that the go ahead, Guy? I've been talking.
Well, it's not that they won't be upset about that during the campaign. It's that they won't trust the indictments and the convictions and the investigations. That's the concern. They won't accept it.
You're
like,
talking.
We can put all those people in prison, and it won't make a difference, because it'll just screw up things even more.
Well, I'm not opposed to putting.
We don't have the trust.
Yeah, that's an important caveat. But like the point that you were raising, Soypel, was kind of my point. Like, how many Americans at this point just think that it's normal for presidents to tell DOJ to prosecute? I can't tell you how many fucking viral tweets I've seen of people lamenting the fact that Joe Biden wasn't just like thoroughly corrupt and wasn't personally involving himself with like prosecution decisions. The reason why that's happening is because Donald Trump came along and just like shat all over that. And so if you want to get back to a situation where, that is, because when Trump was first doing it, people were like, what was like the big slogan during the first term? It was like, none of this is normal. Like, this is not normal. Yeah, well, it is normal now. Like, no one's saying that anymore because we're used to it at this point.
Right. And the question is, if we don't take advantage of that in some ways, not go as bad as they were, are we fighting with one hand tied behind our back? And are we going to be able to get to that norm in the first place? Like, are we going to be able to win and establish that? Or by not taking advantage of that and using some of that language, can we actually beat the Trump in the election? That I think that's the question. And again, I don't think there's an answer necessarily, and I understand your argument.
In my opinion, you're either advocating for civil war, like literal hot civil war, or you're advocating to, like as IRI put it, reestablish trust from Americans in these institutions. You can only be fighting for one of those two things, because if we're just going to do the thing where we're going to trample every norm that Donald Trump himself trampled, well, a lot of these norms, like really important norms, if we're just going to do that, we're just speed running to a hot civil war at that point. I'm not,
I don't think that's misplaced concern. Yeah.
I'll give you an example. When they charged this pipe bomber kid, a lot of people on the right don't believe it. They're like, there's no way. This guy couldn't have done it, because they were sold a narrative that it was Antifa and the left.
Oh,
and inside
wait,
job
guys, emergency. Pisco can't start his stream until this stream is done. I don't know how to get him out of this stream.
Yes, so maybe we should he doesn't know how to do it. All right, we can just call it there, boys.
We can? Okay, well, real quick, any plugs you got, Hutch?
Pisco and I are going to fight tomorrow on the stream about... I don't know, fucking lefties, or I don't know what. I forgot already. We'll figure it out.
Okay, tune in for that. Ira?
Nothing politically. Tomorrow night I'll be at the Ducks game hosting some Offspring night, so that'll be fun.
Nice. And
nationally televised game, so you might see me on national television.
You are still, and probably will always be, the most famous of any of us, especially if you run for office. Last thing, guys, Lena Hidalgo, I don't know. I think, Hutch, you've confirmed. And then I don't know if Guy and Pisco, if you can hear Lena Hidalgo on Wednesday, 2 p.m. Central Time. She's a Texas Harris County judge, wants to talk to us. So we're having like a little mini Live and Learn then. If not everyone can make it understandable. The other thing is the thing that Jonah had reached out to us about, which is this Minnesota fundraiser. We're raising funds for victims of ICE agents, and we're talking with people such as Mayor Frey and other Minnesota politicians. That's going to be 8 Eastern time. I don't think it's on Live and Learn. It'll be a panel that I'm going on, but if any of you guys are interested, you're all still available, reply to the Discord message. Please go and tune in for that. So yeah, 2 big things on Wednesday.
All right, boys. Good chat.
All right, cool. All right, let's free Pisco. Bye, everyone.